Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's The 99 Beautiful Names of God. Al-Maqsad al-Asna fi Sharh Asma' Allah al-Husna. Translated by David Borel and Nazih Dahir. We have reached number 49, Al-Majid. This is on top page 120. Al-Majid, translated here as the All-Glorious. Imam Ghazali Rahmullah said, هو الشريف ذاته الجميل أفعاله الجزيل عطاؤه ونواله. Al-Majid is one who is noble in essence, beautiful in actions. Beautiful in actions, of course. His actions are beautiful. Al-Jamilu أفعاله. His actions are beautiful. Is there a difference? Definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of all beauty. إن الله جميل يحب الجمال. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful and He loves beauty. But beauty is really His creation. There is a certain beautiful order in the universe, in the cosmos. And I highlight beautiful, aesthetically magnificent. There's a certain order that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. We have a glimpse into this beauty, and it is human beings who cause corruption on earth. They disturb the beauty through their action. Nature is beautiful, we destroy it. The human being has been created in the most beautiful fashion, في أحسن تقويم, and then we destroy this by changing from one sex to the other, simply because people are not happy. This is not the end of the story. This is not the end of the story. Satan pledged to lead people astray so that they will change the creation of God, the natural disposition, including physiognomy, and we see it right now. And I highlighted the idea of it's there because there are those prophets of atheism who keep mumbling things that the universe is ugly. I know exactly what they mean. How could the universe be ugly? We have in Arabic we say كن جميلا ترى الوجود جميلا. Be beautiful on the inside, you will see existence beautiful. So it's almost like a projection. Those prophets of atheism who do not want basically to see, who would like to remove God from the picture altogether. Subhanallah. Al-Majid is one who is noble in essence, beautiful in actions. His actions are beautiful, and bountiful in gifts and in favors. Bountiful in gifts and in favors. It is as if nobility of essence is called glory when goodness of action is combined with it. He is also the one who glorifies, yet one of these glorious glorifier is more indicative of intensification. In the translation, it here says, He is also the one who glorifies. Al-Majid is the one who glorifies. Yet one of these glorious glorifier is more indicative of intensification. It is as if Al-Majid, the all-glorious, combines the meanings of the majestic, Al-Jalil, the bestower, Al-Wahhab, and the generous, Al-Karim. And we have discussed them previously. This is what Imam Ghazali says. وَقَدْ سَبَقَ الْكَلَامُ فِيهِمَا. We might simply add, the two verses where Al-Majid is mentioned in the Quran. One of them is the context of I think Sarah, alayhi salam, wife of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. I think at the moment she was she learned of the news that she will become pregnant at an old age. Okay. And أتعجبين من أمر الله. رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد. So here Majid is the one of the two. And the context, of course, if we talk about الجزيل عطاؤه ونواله الجميل أفعاله, then we have this moment. It is, of course, miraculous. It is beautiful. And it is very generous to this family. In the Quran, Ishaq alayhi salam is nafila. Ishaq and Yaqub alayhi salam are nafila. And nafila because for Ibrahim alayhi salam, he already has a child, Ismail alayhi salam. So the others would be another son is extra, and the grandson is extra. Okay. So for him, he already fulfilled his that natural instinct of becoming a father. But Hajar, the same thing, but not for Sarah. And here, basically, she had a child and also a grandson. And when ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب, this means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guaranteed that Sarah will have, Ibrahim and Sarah will have a son, and this son will have a child of his own whose name is Yaqub, Jacob, which also means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only promised them a son, but he promised them already that he decreed that this son will grow old enough to become a man and get married, which means, remember this very well, which means that he is not the child who was sacrificed, like in this story that Ibrahim alayhi salam attempted to sacrifice him. And there's a major difference between the Quran and the biblical narrative. So it is Ismail alayhi salam, not Ishaq, and it's Mecca, not Jerusalem. And the second verse, وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد. This is from Surah Al-Buruj. And وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد. It is Al-Majid here is nominative. You might ask why I'm stressing this. It's because it's an attribute, it's a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because had it been an attribute of Al-Arsh itself, then it would be genitive, not nominative. Al-Majidu, it would be Al-Majidi, Dhul Arsh Al-Majidi, if had it been a description of Al-Arsh, the throne. The next name, attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the number 50 is Al-Ba'ith, translated here as the raiser of the dead. هو الذي يحيي الخلق يوم النشور ويبعث من في القبور. ويحصل ما في الصدور والبعث والنشأة الآخرة. طيب. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises people from the dead. He is the one who gives creatures life on the day of resurrection, raising up those in the grave and revealing what is in men's hearts. These phrases are Quranic, but here they are written as as part of the text without highlighting their origin in the Arabic. Raising of the dead is the final birth, and knowledge of this name is contingent upon a true knowledge of the resurrection. Yet that is one of the most hidden forms of knowledge. Most creatures entertain common illusions and vague imaginings regarding it, the upshot of which is their imagining death to be mere non-existence, or that resurrection brings forth something new in the wake of nothing, as in the first creation. Their belief that death is non-existence is mistaken, as is their opinion that the second creation is like the first one. Of course, one can add many other concepts that people have. There are those who believe that there is no end to this life. People do die, but there is no end to this life, and therefore there is no day of resurrection, and there is no hellfire and paradise. There is no day of judgment. There is no accountability, one way or the other. There are those who, even amongst people who you can see how we differ with the many people of the book, both Jews and Christians. There are those who I did hear directly. I was present when Patriarch Michel Sabah, he's a Patriarch Emeritus now. He's almost 90 years old. I remember he said that there is no, for example, there is no hellfire and there is no paradise in that sense. He said paradise is to live with Jesus Christ after the second coming. And hellfire is to be prevented from living with Jesus Christ, like being simply dismissed, shunned, exiled, whatever you would like to use there. They said either live with Jesus Christ or not. This is really paradise and this is hellfire. I don't know where he got the idea. And some in Judaism today, they believe that there is what they call Gilgul Nefesh, like there is that the soul will continue to kind of reincarnate, almost like an influence of Southeast Asian religions, and this is also part of the narratives that we have concerning their belief that death is non-existence. It is groundless, Imam Ghazali says. Indeed, the grave is either one of the pits of the fires of hell or one of the gardens of paradise. So the dead are either happy and these are not dead, nay, they are living with their Lord, They have, with their Lord, they have provision. Jubilant are they because what God hath bestowed on them of His bounty. This is really the the verse and the context in Arabic is of course more complete. Certain things where I don't know the omission where why it took place, but so here it says, so the dead are either happy, and these are not dead, nay they are living. So we talk about the couple of phrases, and then it continues with the Quran. But in the verse in Arabic, ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون فرحين بما آتاهم الله من فضله. Now, it should be, yes, so the dead are either happy, of course, or it comes really after or they are wretched, but after the verse is mentioned. But the verse does not mention, somehow there's an omission. It does not mention ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. They are not dead, nay they are living. Okay, but it does not say ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله. That was omitted, and this is a I don't know why, but I remember there are those who simply, I think it's problematic when such a verse is not mentioned as a whole, because the context is disturbed in a sense. So either they are happy or they are wretched, yet these two are alive. That was the reason why the messenger of God, may God's blessing and peace be upon him, addressed them in the battle of Badr. Remember that the Muslims were persecuted. From day one there was persecution, really, and there were two waves of migrations to Abyssinia, to Ethiopia, and the Negus, the king of Abyssinia, welcomed the Muslims to his, as political refugees, as we call today, the asylum seekers, or he welcomed them in his country, and the idol worshippers, the idolaters of Mecca, they sent delegations to Abyssinia to create a conflict between the Negus and his guests by really inviting, by asking him, like, to question their faith regarding Jesus Christ and Mary, alayhim assalam. And they said what they believe, and this is really, it's an amazing thing. Islam, is the only other religion than Christianity that has a special status. Yes, Jesus Christ is the Word of God to Mary, but neither is has divine attributes. Jesus Christ is a prophet, and Maryam alayhi salam, Mary, she has a very special status, but not be, she remains a human being, and no, they did not enjoy any divine attributes. These are post-revelational constructs, like developments in Christian theology. But what I'm trying now to establish is that yes, there was persecution in Mecca, persecution of the Muslims. It's a small Muslim community, and there were 3 years of total boycott by the Meccans, by the Meccan, idol worshippers, and ultimately they started the Prophet ﷺ after the a small group of indigenous people of Medina later on became known as the Ansar. They became Muslims, and at one point the Prophet ﷺ started sending the people to Medina rather than to Abyssinia, and then there was even a group already in Abyssinia that when they returned, did not return to Mecca, they went to Medina directly. Then the Meccans followed the nascent Muslim community, and we have Badr, that's basically in the vicinity of Medina, Uhud practically in Medina itself, Al-Khandaq, the trench, surrounded Medina on 3 sides. So the idea that the Meccans who continued basically launching the wars, it was a zero-sum game for the Meccans, unfortunately. So so in that context, now the Prophet ﷺ, so it's important to realize that it's the Meccans who went after the Muslims. The Muslims had to defend themselves. Yes, they won the Badr, they lost Uhud. So it's normal. So sometimes they won, sometimes they lost, but always there were casualties, small number, never the less, in all of these wars of. And one should remember that 2 things: Islam did not spread by the sword. That's a stereotyped image, a misconception, a straightforward lie, really. Look at all Southeast Asia, the Malay archipelago, Kingdom Fatani in southern Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, even the Philippines. There was never a war with that region. Simply, you have merchants from the Hadramaut region, from Yemen of today, who went to that area. They were merchants, of course, using their ships and they have arrived in these countries, and people became Muslim. We talk about the largest Muslim country in the world, Indonesia. No war, simply people who were they had good character, more good morals, ethical transactions. And some of those Yemenis, I went to Indonesia, and I was invited by some of those Yemeni Sufi, really, masters, if you will. They speak Arabic, and their offspring people. So they are Indonesian. They are Indonesians, but they are of Arabic stock. So that's really an important thing to remember about the spread of Islam. The second issue is that we do not have holy war as a concept uh, in the Quran, in the Sunnah, in Islamic books of jurisprudence. Jihad is not holy war. We have the word jihad, we have the word qital. Jihad is striving, exerting effort. Qital is fighting. It's a Venn diagram when sometimes fighting is legitimate, sometimes fighting is not legitimate, but we don't have a concept of holy war in Islam. Okay. And we don't have stories, as I mentioned in a previous session. We don't have stories that justify genocide, like the story of the Amalek that has been mentioned in this dark chapter of human history. So that was the reason why the Messenger of God, may God's blessing and peace be upon him, addressed them in the Battle of Badr when he said, I have found what my Lord promised me to be true. Have you found what your Lord promised to be true? Then when it was said to him, how do you address people already cadaverous, jayyafu, jifa, corpses? He responded, you are no better than they at hearing what I say. It is just that they cannot answer. The this story, this hadith, essentially is mentioned in Sahih Muslim. It's a sound tradition. Interior vision. Has guided the masters of intellectual perception to the fact that man was created for eternity and that there is no way for him to become non existent. Of course, at one moment, his behavior may be separated from the body and it is said he is dead. Or again, maybe it may return to it and it is said he has come to life and is resurrected. That is, the body has come to life. But this book cannot undertake to explore the depths of all that. Now, concerning their opinion that the resurrection is not a second creation but is like the first coming to be, that is not sound, for the resurrection is another sort of creation, insha. ولقد علمتم النشأة الأولى النشاءة الأولى. So it's a sort of creation quite unrelated to the first. Indeed, there are many comings to be proper to man and not simply two of them. And for that reason, the Most High said, that we may transfigure you and make you what you know not. وَنُنْشِئُكُمْ فِيمَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And in the same way, he said, after creating the little lump, the clot, and the rest, then we produce it as another creation. ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. So blessed be God, the best of creators. Indeed, sperm originates from the uh, in the earth, from the earth. This means we talk about and probably we talk about the original uh, the original creation, or we talk simply about the matter itself, the lump from the clot. So النطفة نشأة من التراب والمضغة نشأة من نطفة. So then we talk about the one being the secondary cause of the other. These are simply phases, if you will, stages, and the spirit from the lump. And by spirit here, of course, people should pay attention that Imam Ghazali speaks of um, two two in Kitab Sabr wa Shukr. He's when he addresses the blessings of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala concerning food, the use of the senses, the use of the. But then he goes into literally physiology, and he speaks about two senses of the word ruh here, and he says that there's one sense which is really the one that is uh, there's a mystery about its nature, and he does say it's an affair that belongs to God. قُلُ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. And then he says there's another sense. He says that it is that which keeps the one might say the body functioning, if you will. And in, in that sense here الروح نشأ من العلقة. And this is still, even with that attempt, because we do have نفخ الروح really. So the angels in a sense breathing that spirit into the human being. Um, um, let's let's continue reading and try to comment on this. It was in response to the exalted origin of the spirit, to its glory, and to its being a divine thing, that he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we produce it as another creation. Um, this is not ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر. In English, it gives the impression that as if really it is a reference to the spirit. No, it's not. And it's about the human being, rather, because had it been about the spirit, then it will be feminine, not masculine, as in this case. It would be ثم أنشأناها rather أنشأناه. والله سبحانه وتعالى أعلى وأعلم. So blessed be God, the best of creators. And the Most High said, they will ask thee concerning the Spirit, say, the Spirit is by command of my Lord. ويسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي. So the creation of sensory perceptions after creating the spiritual foundation is another creation, while the creation of discernment, which appears after 7 years, this is the age of discernment for Imam Al-Ghazali, is yet another creation. And the creation of reason after 15 years, or thereabouts, is a further creation. I think the further creation if we continue reading, we'll reach the notion of these as these are stages, atwar. So it's not that we talk about replacement or evolvement or stages that are bound to take place in general in most cases, because some people might not be able to discern after all. So each origination is a stage. So he created you by diverse stages. وقد خلقكم أطوارا. طور is a stage, is a phase. Furthermore, the appearance of the characteristic of holiness, al-wilaya, in the ones endowed with this quality is another creation, while the appearance of prophethood after that is yet another. Indeed, it is a kind of resurrection. So God, may He be praised and exalted, is the one who raises Ba'ith, who raises up the messengers, as He is the one who will raise us all up on the day of resurrection. Just as a true understanding of discernment is difficult for an infant before it has attained the level of discernment, in general, abstract things are difficult for infants to process, and the true understanding of reason and of the wonders revealed in this stage is difficult before attaining to the level of reason. In a similar way, understanding the stages of holiness and prophecy is difficult during the stage of reason, for holiness is a stage of perfection that comes after the creation of reason, as reason is a stage of perfection after the creation of discernment, and discernment is a stage after the creation of the senses. Similarly, it is a part of human nature for men to deny what they have not achieved or attained. Anything that they are ignorant of, they will probably deny its existence, to the point where each person tends to deny what he does not see or what he has not attained rather than believe what is hidden from him. So it is natural to them to deny holiness and its wonders, as well as prophecy with its hidden secrets. Indeed, it is characteristic of them to deny the second creation and the next life, since they have not yet attained it. And if the stage of reason with its universe and the wonders manifest to it were set forth before one who had only attained to the stage of discernment, he would deny it all, renouncing it and disclaiming its very existence. Yet whoever believes in something to which he has not attained believes in what he cannot see, al-ghayb, and that is the key to happiness. Just as the stage of reason, with its perceptions and what comes to be with it, can hardly be compared with the perceptions which preceded it, so it is with the next creation, yet even more so. One ought not to make comparisons between the next creation and the first. These creations are stages of a single essence, and the steps by which it ascends to these stages or perfection until it edges closer to the presence, which is the utmost of all perfection, and that is to be with God, great and glorious. Suspended between rejection and acceptance, separation and attainment. If one accepted, he is raised to the highest of heights. Otherwise, he is banished to the lowest depths. What the present point intends is that there is no relation between the two creations except in name. So whoever does not know the creation and the resurrection will not know the meaning of the name, the raiser of the dead, Al-Ba'ith. But that explanation would be quite extended, so we shall leave it behind. Counsel, and this is the last paragraph about Al-Ba'ith, with which we will end this session, inshallah. The truth of the resurrection refers to bringing the dead to life by creating them once again. Ignorance is the greatest death, and knowledge the noblest life. God, may He be praised and exalted, mentioned knowledge and ignorance in His holy book, and called them life and death. Whoever lifts another out of ignorance to knowledge has already created him anew and revivified him to a blessed life. And should a man have a way of conveying knowledge to people and calling them to the Most High, that would be a kind of revivification, and such would be the level of prophets and the scholars who are their heirs. Uh, Maybe just one small. We do have a verse in the Quran in Surah Yasin, uh, and to boil it down to the idea of reviving, resurrecting, raising the dead on the day of judgment. We have in the context of the verse is قال ما يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وكل خلق العليم. This is from Surah Yasin. He said, who will revive these bones? And the context of this these verses, أسباب النزول, that we have two possibilities, two stories, Al-As bin Wa'il and Ubay bin Khalaf. In both cases, we talk about bringing worn out, literally, bones that are at the stage of becoming dust, and he just simply rubbed by his hand, and it simply dust. And the answer came that he who created them in the first time will revive them, will resurrect them. It doesn't mean, as Imam Al-Ghazali says, it doesn't mean it's exactly the same thing, two different things. And my little story here, to add to the picture, we know that, of course, in that context, in Asbab al-Nuzul, that the Prophet ﷺ said, ultimately, yes, he will resurrect this bone, this person, and then he will cause you to die, and then he will revive you, and he will destine you to hellfire. They were arch enemies of the Prophet ﷺ. As I said, my very little story is that in the early 90s, I was watching TV in the news in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and it was about a Chinese leader who died, and of course his wife and daughter were sent in an aeroplane with an opening in the aeroplane to throw the ash over the ocean, and they did. And I responded to this. It was not a public, statement, but simply I was sitting in the in my living room, and I responded to this event, spreading the ash over the ocean. by saying one word only. I said in Arabic, لا يبعثنك. He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, will resurrect you. Until the next session, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.